the historic Capitol Theater and the Mask High School Kids production of Every Brilliant Thing by Duncan Macmillan with Johnny Donahoe. Originally a one-man production staged in London, we have turned this play into an ensemble piece with 16 actors, all telling the same story. These talented actors had only 5 days to audition, learn their lines, blocking, and solidify all of their acting choices before presenting their work in front of an audience. The show runs approximately 50 minutes with no intermission. We ask that you please keep the middle aisle as clear as possible throughout the show for actor accessibility. Please note that throughout our show, we do cover some mature themes. We invite you, the audience, to collaborate in our growing list of brilliant things out in the lobby. Thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoy Every Brilliant Thing.
The list began after her first attempt. A list of all the brilliant things in the world. Everything worth living for.
1. Ice cream.
2. Water fights.
3. Staying up past your bedtime and being allowed to watch TV.
4. The color yellow.
5. Things with stripes.
6. Roller coasters. 7. People falling over. All things that, at 7, I thought were really good, but not necessarily things that my mom would agree with. I started a list on the 5th of November, 2015. I had been picked up late for school and taken to the hospital, which was where my mom was.
Up until that day, my only experience of death was that of my dog, Sherlock Bones. Sherlock Bones was older than me and a central part of my existence. He was also very sick, so the vet came around to put him down. Would you mind? I wanted to ask you to be the vet. It's just that you have an immediate veterinary quality. Don't worry. I won't ask you to do much. Just stand here, and would you mind if I borrowed your coat? Thank you. Now, you're the vet. I'm me, as a 7-year-old girl, and this is Sherlock Bones. Now, I know you because you're one of the parents from school, and you say something reassuring like, you're doing the kind thing, it's not a moment too soon.
You're doing the kind thing. It's not a moment too soon.
And I don't know what that means because I'm 7 and I have no real concept of finality or mercy. But you are clearly a very kind woman, and I trust you. Now, do you have a pen on you? Now, this pen is the needle, and inside the needle is an anesthetic called pentobarbital. And the dose is large enough to make the dog unconscious, then compress his brain, respiratory, and circulatory systems, and then put him down forever. Don't worry, I think the pen is capped, so we won't draw all over your nice coat. Now, I want you to inject Sherlock Bones in the thigh. No, the other thigh. Okay, I'm going to stop you for a moment right there. There's one fast and hard rule when euthanizing a child's pet, is that you must not laugh. It changes the tone of the situation. So, no, let's try this again. But please respect the solemnity of the situation. Maybe take a moment. Okay? Okay, let's try this again. Now, stroke his little head. And can someone with a watch tell me what 30 seconds have passed? I called Sherlock Bones, who I had known my entire life. I had helped him as he died. I thought of the walk we had that morning, the smell of him in my room, his toys in the garden, the recently opened packet of dry food, his bed under the stairs, all things that could now be thrown away. He got lighter, or heavier, I don't know, but different.
30 seconds have passed.
And that is my first experience with death. A loved one becoming an object and being taken away from the earth.
she's on time. Normally, I ride in the back seat because I'm 7 and make things sticky. But this time, it's my dad, and it's late. And all of the other kids have gone on long ago. Dad looked at me, I looked at him. When something bad happens, your body feels it before your brain even knows what's happening. It's a survival mechanism. The stress hormones cortisol and adrenaline flood through your system. Feels like a trap door is opening beneath you. Fight or flight or stand as still as you can. I stood very still, looking at my dad. Eventually, I got into the car. Dad had the window down, he was smoking.
Put on your seatbelt,
Why?
because cars can be dangerous.
Why?
Because other drivers don't always pay attention.
Why?
Well, because there's lots to think about when you're a grown-up. Bills to pay, work to do, relationships to sustain, and there's never enough time for it all.
Why?
Because there's only 24 hours in a day.
Why?
Because that's how long it takes for the Earth to rotate.
Why?
Because I don't know.
Why?
Because I don't know everything.
Why?
Because that's impossible.
Why?
Because there's only so much anyone can know.
Why?
Because then there'd be no mystery, no creativity, no conversation, no discovery. Nothing would be new, and we have no need to use our imaginations. And our imaginations is what makes life bearable.
Why?
Because in order to live in the present, we need to imagine a future that will be better than our past.
Why?
Because that's what hope is. And without hope, we cannot go on.
Why?
Because, can you just put your seatbelt on?
Why?
Because we're going to the hospital.
Why?
Because that's where your mother is.
Why?
Because she hurt herself.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I just don't.
Why?
Put your seatbelt.
Why?
Because your mother is in hospital.
Why?
Because she couldn't see anything. Because.
Why? At least that's how I like to remember it. We actually just sat in silence. The only thing he said to me was,
Your mother's done something stupid.
I didn't know what that meant, but
That's awesome. At the hospital, Mom saw me and said, not him. So I sat in the corridor next to an old couple who bought me a carton of juice and some chocolate from the machine. I don't know when exactly I got the idea for the list, but it was here, with the old people, and I began to write it down.
Number 1, ice cream. 2, water fights.
3, staying up past your bedtime and getting to watch TV.
4, the color yellow.
5, things with stripes.
6, roller coasters.
7, people falling over.
8. Juice.
9, chocolate.
10. Kind old people who don't smell weird.
And don't act unusual.
I don't like it. Dad was in the hospital with Mom for ages. When he finally got out, I followed him outside the hospital. I followed him inside the car park. I followed him in the car. I followed him up my driveway. I followed him in the front door. I followed him through the hallway. I followed him up the stairs until we reached his study. The door closed behind him, and I couldn't follow him any further. I knew the rules. If it was this woman scene, it meant I could come in. If it was the kind of music you could sing along to, it meant I could come in, but I ran the risk of being spun around in this chair. If the music sounded like it was purely instrumental, it meant he was working, so I should be quiet. And if it sounded like the instruments were falling down the stairs, it meant I should just leave him alone. So there I stood, outside his office, waiting to see what he put on.
I went downstairs and made myself dinner. A ham and ham sandwich, just without the ham. I sat down in front of the TV and I continued with my list. It occurred to me that the list should be in no particular order. There is no way of saying that. For example, Spider-Man was objectively better than spaghetti with meatballs.
23, Spider-Man.
24. Spaghetti with meatballs.
25. Wearing a cape.
26. Being in the sea and
Nobody knows.
I stayed up late writing and fell asleep in the living room. Dad must have carried me upstairs. Mom hadn't been home in about a week or so. While she was away, I was told to talk to the school counselor, which is actually just Mrs. Patterson from upper school. She was a wonderful woman, the sort of woman you look at and immediately trusted. I'm going to ask you to be Mrs. Patterson, if that's okay.
Me?
Sit down.
Okay.
Okay, now what you doing? And I know it sounds a little weird, but what you do is you take off your shoe,
Right now?
take it off.
Okay, we're in public.
I don't care.
Okay.
And then you take off your sock.
Bare feet.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's what Mrs. Patterson did, so.
Okay.
Take it off.
I'm trying.
And then she put it on her hand.
This is really dirty.
Just do it.
Okay.
And then she talked to you through her sock dog called, what was his name again?
Mostyn!
Ah, yes, I remember now. What Mostyn would do is he would ask questions like, how are you feeling today?
How are you feeling today?
I am very well, thank you, Mostyn. How are you?
I'm good, I guess. How are... Thank you.
Wow, you're brilliant. What type of dog are you?
I'm a corn dog.
Wow, that's amazing. When I was little, I had a dog named Sherlock Bones. He was a cross between a border collie and a Doberman, because a border collie and a Doberman lived on my street, and there was a very low hedge. You're brilliant, by the way. I really like you. I'm gonna put you on my list. 164. Mostyn the Sack Dog. Have I told you about my list?
No? Tell me about it.
Well, okay. I'm writing a list of 1,000 brilliant things. I'm not certain, but I might be a genius. Well, it's been great talking to you, but can I go now?
Sure.
Awesome.
I guess I just have a song from my family.
Mom eventually did come home from the hospital, and by that time, the list was 8 pages long and had 314 things on it. I left it on her pillow with the title, Every Brilliant Thing. She never mentioned it to me, but I knew she read it because she corrected my spelling. I kept speaking with Miss Patterson and Mostyn once a week, then once a fortnight, and then once a month. And then one day I left the school and I never saw them again. I don't want to make it seem like my mother was a monster or that my childhood was miserable, because it wasn't. We had a piano in our kitchen. It wasn't a big kitchen, but we all used to gather around the piano in the warmest room in the house and sing soul songs. There's a Ray Charles song called Drown My Own Tears that she sang a lot. There's a moment halfway through that sends shivers down my spine. The way he says you gets me every time. It's like it's coming from someone else. We all used to howl it like wolves. 313
313, having a piano in the kitchen.
314. The way Ray Charles says the word you.
I forgot about the list until her second attempt, just over 10 years later. Dad came in halfway through chemistry, the same trapdoor feeling, fight or flight, the same wordless drive to the hospital. The night she came home, she sat at the kitchen table and was silent. Eventually, Dad got up from the table to go to his study and listen to records. I couldn't sleep that night. I started to pack up my room, clearing out the things I wanted to keep, packing them away, throwing away the things I didn't. My hands started to shake. Have you ever had that? When you notice that your hands are starting to shake and your breathing is deeper and you're surrounded by bin bags full of things and you realize that, you know, I'm really upset. I must be really upset. So underneath a bag, underneath my bed, under some sticker albums, seashells, and action figures, I found a list. I sat down and I read it through.
Number 1, ice cream.
The younger bee had dealt with this so much better. She wasn't self-righteous. The younger bee was hopeful. Naive, of course, but hopeful. So once I got to the end of the list, I picked up a pen and continued where that little girl had left off.
315. The smell of old books.
316. Chapel Roan.
317, the even-numbered Star Trek movies.
318, burning things.
319. Aromatic dark pancakes with poison sauce.
320, making up after an argument.
The next morning, I sat at the end of my mom's bed and read the list to her, but she got up and left the room. So I followed her and I read louder.
516, winning something.
517. When you know someone well enough for them to check your teeth for broccoli.
Over the next few days and weeks, I would leave messages on the answer phone. I would turn off the radio, and I would stand in front of the TV. I spent a lot of time talking to her back.
580. When idioms coincide with real-life occurrences. For example, realizing something and simultaneously smelling coffee.
521, the word plinth.
I began to put sticky notes all around the house, stuck to various things. On her mirror was
575, piglets.
on the kettle
654.
Marlon Brando.
and on her bed.
Number 11.
Bed. Every morning, I would open my door to see a small stack of yellow squares of paper. I became more inventive, writing words on the insides of cereal packets, on shoes, carving words into fruits, and rearranging the fridge magnets.
201, hammocks.
Inside some lid of some mustard,
324. Nina Simone's voice.
stenciled onto a baguette. It was my aim to reach 1,000. I wasn't allowed to cheat, which meant A, no repetition. B, things had to be genuinely wonderful and life-affirming. C, not too many material items. For a few months, the list became my sole focus.
761. Deciding you're not too old to climb trees.
823, skinny dipping.
Then, the week before I left for university,
992, knowing to jingle keys at the wildlife park if you want the otters to come out.
993. Having dessert as a main course.
994. Hairdressers who actually listen to what you want.
995. Bubble wrap.
996, really good oranges.
997, cycling downhill.
998. Laughing so hard you shoot milk out of your nose.
999. Sunlight. However much you feel like you're not to blame, you can't help feeling like you failed them. It's not fair to feel this way, but it's natural.
In the first week of university, I posted the list to my mom anonymously.
When I returned home that Christmas, I found it on my desk, neatly folded back in its envelope. I'm not sure whether or not she had read it, but it certainly hadn't seemed to change her outlook. I put the list between pages of a favorite book and I forgot about it. That Christmas was quiet, difficult. In the new year, Dad drove me back to university. He gave me a box of his records. I wanted to ask why, but I knew better than that. We didn't speak. We just listened to the radio. I was quite shy at university. I didn't socialize. I would even avoid lectures and seminars. But there was one lecture I never missed. It was of a lecturer whose books I'd read and loved, and had even inspired me to choose the course in the first place. The lecture was about a series of books of Victorian novellas that led up to this one book, The Sorrows of a Young Werther, by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. What the lecturer would do is she would hold the book aloft, and then she would leave a long dramatic pause. And when she was certain she had everyone's undivided attention, she would give a very accurate and detailed précis of the novel.
Visiting an idyllic German village, Werther, a sensitive young man, meets and falls in love with sweet-natured Lottie. Although he realizes that she is to marry Albert, he is unable to subdue his passion, and his infatuation torments him to the point of despair. The first great confessional novel, The Sorrows of Young Werther, draws both on Goethe's unrequited love for Charlotte Buff and on the death of his friend Karl Wilhelm Jerusalem. The book was an immediate success, and the cult rapidly grew up against it, resulting in numerous imitations, and as well as violent criticism and suppression on the grounds of its apparent support of suicide.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes?
Are you saying that this book led people to take their own lives?
Yes.
And you want us to read this book?
Yeah.
I left the lecture and went to the library. I read up on all the social contagions, obesity, divorce, suicide. We're also consciously affected by the behavior of our peers. In the month after Marilyn Monroe's death by overdose, the number of suicides in the U.S. increased by 12%. Every time suicide is front page news, every time a celebrity or a character on primetime television takes their own life, there's a jump in the number of suicides. Suicide is contagious. It's called the Werther effect, named after Goethe's protagonist. Discovering this fact really scared me, and then it made me angry. I thought about how suicide was presented in films and on TV, how it was reported in the news. I found a set of guidelines the Samaritans had made for how the media can report suicide intelligently. It's astonishing how rarely these guidelines are ever followed. They're really simple. I read the book, The Sorrows of Young Werther. It was shit. Well, I didn't connect with it. I'd never really been one for romance. Or at least I hadn't been, until I locked eyes with the only other person that was always in the library. For weeks, we'd sit across from each other without speaking. Occasionally, we'd make eye contact and then look away immediately as if blinded by the sun. I finally understood the lyrics to pop songs. After weeks, I summoned up the courage to say hello. Can you just deal with this?
Is anyone sitting here?
Not anymore.
Oh, good. Hello,
Hi.
what's your name?
Sam.
Hi, Sam. Good to meet you. What are you reading? Oh, I forgot. We need some books. We're in a library after all. We need something to read. That one. What are you reading?
The Communist Manifesto.
What's it about?
Let me read the summary. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to exorcise this specter. Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Guzat, French radicals, and the police fight. Pretty good.
Sounds really good.
What are you reading?
Oh, me? I'm reading Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. Hi, I'm the bus driver. Listen, I've got to leave for a little while, so can you watch things for me until I get back? Thanks. Oh, and remember, don't let the pigeon drive the bus.
That's amazing.
Oh, it's really good. Here, I'll lend it to you, and I can read the Communist Manifesto. We can meet up and discuss them sometime. We can get coffee or a cup of tea or some really good oranges. If you want to. If you're free sometime, maybe.
Definitely.
I had a date. We would meet up in the library and discuss books over coffee. I encountered things I probably would have never otherwise. I will probably learn more from the books Sam gave me than from any of my course texts. After a few months of meeting, reading, and trying not to look at each other, Sam returned a book to me, one of my favorite childhood books, and said,
There's something in this book that I think you might have missed. You should really read it. Like, please.
Now, this confused me, because I already read the book. It was one of my childhood favorites. I lent it to her. Because I'm an idiot, I didn't realize it was code until weeks later, whenever I opened up the book. It now fell on my list. I was mortified. I never told anyone about my mom before, ever. There were times whenever I was a kid when I wouldn't have anything in my lunchbox, or I wouldn't have socks on or something. And I didn't want people to think that it was because my mom was, I don't know. And it was a stupid and childish list anyways. To think a list of nice things could ever combat hardwired depression was embarrassingly naive. I got so mad, I went to tear up the list, and then I noticed someone else's handwriting.
1,000. When somebody lends you books.
1001. When someone actually reads the books you give them.
1002. When you learn something about someone that surprises you or makes complete sense.
1003. The realization that someone is occupying your every waking thought, making it hard to eat or sleep or concentrate, and they may seem familiar, even though they're brand new.
1004. Finding a way to say this but not be in the same room at the same time because we're both really awkward and terrified of rejection. But if I don't say something now, it'll never happen.
1005. Writing about yourself in the third person.
I have some advice for anyone who's been contemplating suicide, and it's really simple. It's this. Don't do it. Things get better, and they might not always get brilliant, but they do get better. I couldn't do anything but stare at what Sam had written for about 3 hours, and eventually, I just picked up where Sam had left off.
1006.
Surprises.
1007. The fact that sometimes there is a perfect song for how you're feeling.
1008. Dancing in private.
1009. Dancing in public. Fearlessly.
1010. Reading something which articulates to exactly how you feel, but lack the words to express yourself.
I rose way late to the night.
1227. Now worried about how much you're spending on holiday because all of your national currency looks like monopoly money.
I wanted to get to 2,000 and I wrote as the sun came up.
1654. Christopher Walken's voice.
1655. Christopher Walken's hair.
I wrote so much that my hand cramped up.
1857. Planning a declaration of love.
There was so much to include, so many thoughts running around my head.
2000. Coffee.
And I followed that with
2001. The film is that rare that was no adapted.
2002. Taking someone down to the train just as the door was closing, making eye contact and sharing the clothing. 2003. This song, the sheer uninhibited, unashamed, version, second, ridiculous, celebratory euphoria of it.
2004. The fact that there are people who have felt joy so powerfully and managed to capture the sound. 2005. Final records. I'm not being pretentious. The sound quality is better.
It isn't compressed, it's tactile. You get to feel the weight of it in your hands. You can't skip like with CDs or MP3s. You listen through the entire album. That's room had ribbons on every surface. And I loved the gateful sleeves, the artwork. I loved reading through the acknowledgments in the sleeve notes, the story of the making of the object.
The next morning, I took the list and I ran to the library. And Sam and I kissed for the very first time. Every day, I would make new list entries as a gift for Sam.
2,389 Badgers.
2,390 people who can't sing but either don't know or don't care.
4,997. Gifts you actually want, it didn't ask for.
4,998. Falling asleep on the plane, waking when you land, and then feeling like a time traveler.
Pages and pages of it.
9,993. Dreams of flying.
9,994. Friendly cats.
9,995. Falling in love.
9,996. Really good hugs.
9,997. Being cooked for.
9,998. Watching someone watch your favorite movie.
9,999. Staying up all night talking.
10,000. Waking up late with someone you love.
Everybody put your right hand in the air. I'm gonna high five the entire room. That was much harder than I anticipated. That was a mistake. My mom, she would do this. Get carried away, ups and downs. As a kid, it was never shyness or thoughtfulness. Happiness scared me because it was usually followed by, you know. This was all very new, feeling like this. Studies show that kids with depressed mothers have a heightened reaction to stress. Mothers who are withdrawn leave their children to fend for themselves, and it actually changes the chemistry of the brain, the fight or flight response.
I took Sam back home to meet my parents. They were great. They were wonderful. They were fantastic. It was awful. It made it seem like I had exaggerated my whole childhood. My dad made lasagna and played calorie records. We drank wine and sang songs at the kitchen piano. Tom always went first, Ray Charles, of course. Dad didn't normally sing, but Mike, he did. It was amazing. I had never seen anything like it. He sang, "That's Life." And the one about facing the final curtain, which I thought was a hair on the nose. And quite spectacularly, "Wake me up before you go," which he'd clearly never heard before. Sam sang the last song tonight. It was beautiful. It was "Some Things Last a Long Time" by Daniel Johnston. I'd never heard before. It was the saddest, happy song I'd ever heard. We all just sat there in silence for a time, said our goodnights. With Sam's encouragement, was through.
123,321. Palindromes.
People asked if they could read the list, add to it, photocopy it. Eventually, the various documents comprising the list got so sprawled with different handwritings, different fonts, colors, you name it. People had all sorts of punctuation, periods, apostrophes, footnotes and headers, even the odd diagram. Eventually, all the universally liked things have been added. New socks, fresh sheets, freshly cut grass, smell of bacon. And so, the list items had to become more specific.
253,260 people. The feeling of calm, which follows the realization that although you might be in a regrettable situation, there's nothing you can do about it. wrestler.
Not the action of dressing up like a Mexican wrestler, but the prospect of doing so. Sam and I got married a year after university. It was great. She proposed, got down on one knee, the whole 9 yards. It was, you know what, let's just do it. Let's. We were walking in my childhood park, where I used to walk my dog, Sherlock Bones, as a kid. When I noticed, I assumed she must have tied her shoe or something, because when I turned around, she was on one knee. She took my arms and said,
Will you marry me?
I said yes. Let's kiss later. Pick a date. Hire the venue. Caterers. Of course. Bam. It was so much fun. Everybody was there. Even my old dad, who was not invited, but did come anyway. It was great. My daddy would give a speech. It was the most beautiful, profound thing I'd ever heard. And you know, Dad, he didn't like public speaking, but he said this.
I really want to take this opportunity to talk to everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a break from tradition, please welcome the father of the groom. Say what's in your heart, Dad. I remember every word. At the reception, when most of the guests had gone home, my mom sat at the piano and played soul songs.
After the wedding, Sam and I went on holiday to the Bahamas, where we were so happy. The sun shone every day, and we ate the most incredible seafood. We moved to St. Louis. We got jobs, a car, a joint bank account, and a cat who peed on everything, then ran away. We called her Margaret Scratcher. We settled into a routine. We saw less and less of each other. We were tired. We argued. We argued about money. We argued about whether we wanted to live in the city or the countryside. We argued on whether or not we wanted to start a family. We had one argument in particular. Sam suggested that I talk to someone professionally. That made me so angry. I knew what depression was, and I knew I was fine. I had a study at home where I'd sit and listen to the records and read the sleep notes. The lives of other people have always fascinated me. I always read the liner notes in the record sleeves, the trials and traumas behind the music, tortured geniuses, Weldon Irvine, Albert Eibler, Ronnie Singer, and Donny Hathaway, all wonderful musicians, and all took their own lives. Sam told me I was becoming morose, that I was isolating myself while living. Sam also said that I should continue on with the list, that it just was harder for me to find new things. 826,978. 826,978. 826,978. The list ended. Only a few thousand short of a million. It was done. So I boxed it all up and I threw it away. I sat in my study while Sam packed her things. I watched from the doorway while Sam drove away. She looked at me from the car. That horrible feeling when you know something is broken and can't ever be fixed. The trap door swings open, five to fly to stay as still as you can. I felt like that for a long time. I watched her drive away. Sam left me a note, written on the inside of an album sleeve. She knew that when I wanted to think of her, I looked for that Daniel Johnston song she sang at my parents' house. And as always, I'd sit and listen to the records and look through the liner notes. Her note said that she loved me, and that when I was ready, we should try again. I didn't find that note for 7 years.
Perhaps Sam had been right. Perhaps I was difficult to live with, difficult to love. I couldn't hear it from her though. No. I needed to talk to someone else. So, the night that I found Sam's note, I did one of the oddest things I've ever done.
Hello?
Miss Patterson,
Yes?
I hope you don't mind me calling you so late. I know you've retired. I know that because I called the school and they gave me your number. I know this is inappropriate, but I'm an ex-pupil of yours. I was the little girl with the list. Do you remember me?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
You used to have a sock puppet. Do you remember?
Yeah.
A corn dog. Mostyn, wasn't it?
Yes.
I was always able to talk to Mostyn. This may sound strange, but is it possible for me to talk to Mostyn now?
I don't see why not.
Hello! Hello, Mostyn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm talking to a sock dog on the phone, so apparently not so great. I'm sad. I'm really sad, Mostyn, and I don't know how to change that. I called you because when I was a little girl, you knew me better than anyone else. I wanted to ask you, was I always like this? Do you remember what I was like?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Was I happy?
Yes.
Thank you. I really needed to hear that from you. I'm sorry I called so late. I won't call again. Good night.
Good night.
Sorry to talk to you. A group. A support group. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I've come to realize that it's important to talk about things, particularly the things that are the hardest to talk about. When I was a kid, I was so much better at being happy and feeling joy. Now that I'm all grown up, now that I'm aware of the complexities, the tragedies, the disappointments, I don't know if I can ever fully allow myself to be joyful again. I'm just not good at it. It's helpful to find other people who feel the same. I made a list. Every brilliant thing was a gift from my mom, kind of a long story. The list is... Wait a second, I still have it. You see, I threw it away. Well, unbeknownst to me, my partner at the time got it out of the trash and hid it in the garage and left a note about it in underside of a Curtis Mayfield album. You don't even know the details. Boy off wallpaper, one attack piece.
Morgan Mindy.
My new sleeveless top.
Old people holding hands.
If you lived a long life and got to the end of it without ever once feeling crushingly depressed, then you probably haven't been paying attention. I wasn't around for the last time. I was in Australia on a work trip, and when I got the call, I was on the beach. My dad wasn't around either. I drove my dad to the funeral. We sat in silence. He smoked with the window down. Helped him tie his tie. And after the funeral, talking to my mom's colleagues and her friends, I realized just how much the list had changed the way I see the world.
Number 31, Bird Song.
Number 45, hugs.
341. Carbonated beverages.
577, Tea and Crumpets.
1,092. Conversation.
The list hadn't saved her. Of course it hadn't. I got a text from Sam. I heard about your mom. I'm so sorry. You can give me a call. Anytime. I'd love to hear your voice. Love Sam. And P.S. The other day I heard that Beyonce is related to this famous composer, Gustav Mahler. I think it deserves to go on your list. It's truly a brilliant thing. I stayed with my dad for a couple months after the funeral. We'd go walking or reading or sit and listen to records. And then he'd fall asleep in his armchair. And I would sit at his computer and I would type up the list starting from the very beginning.
1. Ice cream.
It took several weeks of sleepless nights, but once I got to the end, I kept going.
826,979. The fact that Beyonce is Gustav Mahler's 8th cousin, 4 times removed.
And once I got to the end, I printed it out and I left it on my dad's desk. And I drove back to St. Louis. And he never addressed it directly, but a couple months later when I saw him again, he said,
Thank you.
and then he said,
I love you.
and I told him that sentimentality didn't suit him.
999,997. The alphabet.
999,998. Inappropriate songs played on emotional moments.
999,999. Completing a task.
1 million. Listening to a record for the very first time. Taking it out of the sleeve and feeling the weight of it in your hands. Putting it on the deck and putting the needle down and hearing the faint hiss and crack